Hello and welcome back to the Happy Accidental Gardener channel. My name is Estelle. I am your Happy Accidental Gardener. Today we will be tackling my flower beds. I've been paying so much attention to my fruit and vegetables that I have not really been paying attention to my flower beds. I do have a decent number of perennials. I actually have some annuals, or what I thought were annuals, like snapdragons that I put in last year that came back, but it is now time to weed, deadhead, clean up, put in some new fresh annuals, add some color. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. Let's get started. Here I have some white cloud catmint, which is happily spreading itself. I'm going to pull some of that up. Behind that, a nice field of weeds. I've got some mums, which I need to trim back so that when it's time for them to flower for real, they'll have a nice shape. I've got some gazania. I've got dianthus in here, the white dianthus. I've got some snapdragons that are kind of being choked out. Definitely got weeds all over the place. I've got a Walker's Low catmint that I need to trim back for its own health. In the back there, I've got some lilac in a pot and some azaleas in a pot. Definitely need to trim that mum back today. And I will be putting some colorful annuals in this bed. Okay, I'm just getting started, but we can already see, since some of the weeds on the lower level have been removed, that it's looking better already. I have some plants that I didn't even know were down there. So yeah, I gotta weed this part, deadhead, and weed the bed with the bearded iris stalks, and then there's another one of these beds on the other side. I didn't take a proper picture of this before I started, but you can see where the top of this mum was when I started pruning it, and you can see where the body of the mum is now. Like, this is the brick wall, and you can see it was a pretty decent distance above, and I've trimmed it all the way down back to the garden wall, knowing that when it comes back again, I might do one more light pruning at the end of the month, but knowing that when it comes back, it will come back full and it will come back ready to bloom for the autumn. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, this is the burgundy colored one, but I'm not sure. If you are facing my house, this is the flower bed on the left. It is in similar to condition to how the flower bed on the right was. The mums are kind of out of control. There's weeds everywhere. Things need to be pulled out. So I'm working on that now. That first mum was kind of tall, and I've trimmed it back, and I've deadheaded the dianthus that's next to it and the snapdragon that's next to it as well. And now I'm going to take on the rest of the flower bed. This is what the second bed looks like now. The mums have been pruned. The snapdragons have been deadheaded. The weeds have been pulled. So this is an excellent stage for all of the annuals that I'm putting in. Salvia, zinnia, marigolds, and some other stuff for color. And because it's approaching 90 degrees, the center bed that has daylilies and bearded irises that need to be deadheaded and weeds that need to be pruned will wait for another time, a much cooler time. So here's what this flower bed, the first flower bed, looks like after weeding and pruning and trimming. A lot more real estate for planting new things, new annuals. So now that we've gotten this bed cleaned up, we'll get this bed dressed up. I am back in the front flower bed trying to finish up what I didn't finish up the other day. I got about 2/3 of it done, weeding and deadheading, cleaning out the flower beds. Today I'm going to be tackling this, which is just kind of an overgrowth of bearded irises and daylilies, which both are perennials that kind of thrive on neglect. So it really works for me because I don't have to do anything but deadhead them and leave them alone, and they will propagate themselves. Anyway, I need to clean out this bed so that I can put some color and some annuals in there and give the plants that are already there some room to grow. It's a lot of work, but it needs to get done. Let's get started. So I've got this area, 3 primary areas, 1, 2, 3 of an orange daylily. I don't remember the variety. And then behind that, just a whole host of bearded irises. They usually come in a lovely, lovely light purple for the year, but they do need to be deadheaded. They're spent for the year. And this bed just needs to be weeded and deadheaded and cleaned up so it can look as good as I know it can look. So this is the cleaned up iris and daylily bed. I still have a few fronds that I need to trim back that have browned on the edges, but I managed to deadhead all of my irises. And if you look closely, you'll see that the daylilies are starting to come in. So that'll be really pretty. They're all shades of orange. That'll be really pretty. And if you look in here, I planted in the fall, I planted some echinacea, also known as coneflower, that is definitely trying to sprout. I'm going to trim back some of the iris and daylily fronds so that they can get some sunlight, so that they can sprout in there, add a little color to this middle bed. And I'll also be planting some annuals in here as well. Not quite done yet, but so far so good. These are all of the plants that I was able to pick up from various big box stores and nurseries over the past week or so. A lot of places are having things on sale, things that have sprouted and need to be deadheaded, things that look like they might not make it. I was able to get a bunch of stuff for between 50 and 75% off, so I'm really glad about that. I've got some sweet potato vine, really pretty, doesn't actually produce sweet potatoes, but it's really pretty. This lime green plant up here. This purple plant is salvia. I've never grown that before. I've got this pretty coral pink colored dianthus. I've got some zinnia. These orange ones are zinnia. Some flowering vinca. I've got some gerbera daisies, some begonias, some dahlias in there. So I really think that's going to dress up my yard and add a nice punch of color. In preparation for planting all these annuals, I have kind of laid them out where I want them to go. The white flowering vinca, those white zinnias back there. I have some celosia back there, as you can see, and just trying to lay out where I want things. The angelonia, it's my first time growing that, just to see how things will look. I've got some sweet potato vine that I'm going to plant kind of in the corner. I've got some marigolds down there by the daylilies. So just trying to imagine what it'll look like, just trying to plan everything out, make sure I like where everything is going to go. The salvia and the white snapdragon are going to go in the back behind the bearded iris. They should grow tall. You should be able to see them behind the green. I think that'll add a nice pop of color. I put the begonias down there in the area that I cleaned out, and they should add some nice color as well. So after several hours out here in the yard, I've gotten all my colorful annuals planted. I've gotten this bed trimmed. I kind of pruned this middle daylily a little bit so that the flowers that I planted, the begonias that I planted in there, and the cone flowers that are there will get some sun. In the back, you can only see them a little bit, are the purple salvia. There's a white snapdragon back there, and those will both get a little taller, so they'll be able to be seen over the greenery. So on this side and the other side, we've got some new dianthus, we've got some zinnias, some marigolds, some flowering vinca, and a whole bunch of other flowering annuals that'll just bring color and pollinators to the yard. Okay, so I've spent about 4-5 hours weeding, deadheading, trimming, planting, watering in, because that's always important when you put in new plantings, watering in and getting everything set up in my front flower beds. The good news is it's also supposed to rain tonight, so that'll help water everything in, and then I'll be able to put a layer of fresh mulch down around all of the plantings and help keep weeds down. Thanks for spending the day with me in my garden. I will definitely keep you all up to date on what's growing, what's not growing, and how everything's going in the garden. Thanks so much for stopping by. Hit like, hit subscribe, smash that notification bell so you'll know when I have new comment. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you guys around the garden. The good news is it's also supposed to, bug, sorry. The good news